Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Sunday, June the 22nd, when I normally might shoot a confessional, but Kristen's in the hospital. If you've been following my blog, you know that. And so I didn't lead this morning. I had Chris Caraway, my friend, lead in my place. And as I understand it, worship went good. The band did a good job. But I did want to post this, just something I was thinking of, and actually in talking to some folks recently, I've heard people talk about worship leaders talk about uh, having difficulty talking while playing, specifically like guitar players, being able to pick through whatever they're playing and pray or read scripture or talk. Now, there's some people who don't like that. Some people who don't do that or don't think you should do that. Other people enjoy it as sort of a transitional thing. And it is a good skill to have. It can be overused just like anything else. And so I've just been thinking about ways um, to do that. Maybe just some resources to share with you of things that I've seen people do or heard people do, or even that I've tried myself that have worked. And so a couple things you can do if that's you, if you kind of tend to have trouble with that. Um, there are a couple of tricks you can do. Number one, if you know you're going to be doing that, if you know you're going to be doing some sort of transitional thing where you want to talk or pray, a really smart thing that you can do is to make sure that you have your keyboard player. If you have a keyboard player who can hold down sort of like a synth pad, just sort of a kind of a little spacey tone, just real ambient, not like strings or organ sound or something, just something that's sort of ethereal, sort of ambient. If they can hold down a chord, what you'll find is that if you're on guitar, you can just sort of pick down just the one chord. If you're in D, you can just kind of pick that D and just let it ring. And if your keyboard player is doing something like that one chord, and maybe the suspension, just like D, D sus, D, D sus, and you can just sort of play that. Or you can have your keyboard player hold the D, maybe hold like a low D, and you can pick the D and the D sus. And I'm not talking about finger picking, and I'm not talking about real steady. I'm just saying just like a real slow strum as you're talking, and then maybe another slow one with the D sus. It's a way to sort of communicate flow without really having to pick by yourself. Okay. Now, if you don't have a keyboard player, or you don't have anybody who can hold that down as you do that, one thing that you can do is try to plan out what it is that you're going to say. A lot of us don't do that. We don't think about what we're going to say in between songs, and so that means our sets are sometimes kind of hit and miss. We don't really know what we're going to do. But if you know it's coming, you can make an effort to plan out what you're going to say. And what I find is sometimes the best practice is to decide, okay, this is the part I want to play. Maybe you're playing Paul Balash's Your Name, so it's got this great G with a B shape, C shape, D with F sharp to C shape. I think it's capoed at the 3, but that's essentially what you're playing. Well, one thing that you can do is just in your practice time, and you really should make practice time during the week to play through your stuff. Not a lot of us do it, but we all should do it. But if you do that, if you kind of play through that, just try to play that consistently about 3 or 4 times, staying on tempo, just picking it or strumming it or whatever you're going to do. And then just try to say a few things. And I'm not saying try to talk about what you're going to talk about, but maybe even just test words. Like maybe you want to just say the words that you're singing. As morning dawns and evening fades, you inspire songs of praise. And you just talk that, right? Because you sing it doing it, right? It's kind of the same thing. And then you can move to other things, and you can just, it sounds goofy, but you could just say things like, hey, I'm checking my ability to transition, and I am talking right now, and here we go. And so if you practice that enough, you get to where your hands are able to do the thing that you need them to do, and yet your mind and your mouth are able to focus on what you're saying. It is hard, but those are 2 tricks that you can do. Number 1, have somebody hold down something behind you to fill up the space so it's not all on you, or slow it down a little bit, practice it with maybe even the lyrics, or even what songwriters call nonsense words, just talking words and just getting used to do it. I think it's a good way to work on your transition. So if that's you and you give it a try and it works, I'd love it if you'd let me know. You can email me over there on the sidebar. And I'd love to hear, or maybe you've got other tips. Maybe you've got things that that work really well for you in transitioning. And maybe you keyboard players out there, maybe you've got tips for keyboard players who may not be able to do it real well. So anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.